Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Ramin Chukui, and I'm currently a full stack software engineer working at a small software agency, a software consulting agency company. And I want to talk to you guys today about how I went about becoming a software engineer from a non-traditional background to where I am now. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of my background and give you guys a few little tips and tricks. So let's go back in time to 2017. I'm just graduating high school, going into university, and my dad being a doctor, I was kind of exposed to the medical field all throughout my life, and I thought that's what I wanted to do going into university. So as soon as I started, I went straight for a bachelor's degree in biology and was cranking that out, not knowing that when I graduated, I was never going to use my biology degree ever again. Throughout my time that I was at university, I was also competing in esports at the time, so I was getting to know a lot of people really quickly. And my coach at the time went through a coding boot camp, and now I knew that I did not want to do anything in the medical field whatsoever. I love technology. I've loved technology since I was a little kid. Since I was 6 years old with a Game Boy in my hand, I've been all around technology, and it's really been a part of my life for a very long time, since the beginning. And I was always really good with technology, no matter what it was, whether it was a Game Boy or stuff on the computer or internet. I was really, really good at it, and I was considered the IT man of my family. Yeah, with that being said, I'm just about to graduate. I don't want to do esports anymore. I don't want to do anything in the medical field. And my coach sits me down and talks to me about his experience at a coding bootcamp. And that really resonated with me because he told me himself he was not very strong at math. And I thought that being a software engineer meant dealing with math every single day while coding, and I just thought I could not do it whatsoever. But nonetheless, I did my research and applied to a boot camp called Digital Crafts, and I got in. That was around May of 2022, and the class finally started in June. It was a 4-month intensive boot camp, and my class was very small. I had about 11 students, which was probably the main reason why I know a lot of what I do today. My classmates were extremely smart. They were way smarter than me, and I felt like I was a nobody compared to them. They were incredibly smart. My cohort was a very fast learning cohort. My instructor told us that we were his best boot camp by far, and his most challenging boot camp by far, because my classmates and I always asked the right questions and always kind of stretched as much as we could possibly learn and fit into the time frame that we had, which was about 4 months for the boot camp full time. That was a very big reason why I learned a lot. It's because of my teammates and the intensity of the boot camp, and the fact that I can lean on them to ask questions and see their perspective, lean on them and ask questions and advance my own skill set through my peers. So every day of the boot camp for 4 months straight, it was very structured. My instructor told us what to learn on, the projects to work on, so on and so forth. And that really helped guide me in the way that I needed to go with learning software in general. That little structure helped with the next subject to learn or the next project to learn, which really helped accelerate my own learning growth as well. So that was really huge, and a really big reason why I learned quickly and understood everything, because of that structure. Now, with that structure came a lot of projects, and also those projects helped boost my confidence in my abilities, and also help alleviate a little imposter syndrome, seeing all your code working and your projects coming to life. So that was really huge. So fast forward 4 months, I'm graduating the boot camp. I have nothing set after the boot camp, no idea what to do. I'm being thrust into the real world. I have a bachelor's degree in biology, do not want to do anything in that, no job whatsoever. So I had to sit and kind of think to myself, okay, like, what's the next plan? what are the next steps in order for me to hit the goal that I want, which is being a software engineer. I created a structure in order to keep myself accountable for all the skills that I learned in the bootcamp while also learning newer skills to add to my toolbox. I really feel like that is another big reason why I am where I am today, because without that structure outside my bootcamp, I would literally have nothing to do. I wouldn't be practicing my code. I wouldn't be applying to jobs. I wouldn't be networking. I wouldn't be doing mock interviews. I wouldn't be practicing leak code. So I had to find out how I can structure my time wisely to work on projects. I had to work on new projects, to work on past projects, mentor, seek mentorship, network, and apply to jobs. So I created a little structure where one day I'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And for 2 months straight, I did that. I think I applied to about 100 jobs or so every week. And that was also filled with a lot of negative results, a lot of them being rejections, only a handful of responses, and even fewer interviews. I think I submitted a total of 600 applications in a 2-month time frame from me graduating the bootcamp to actually getting an offer. I also applied to a lot of places that were above my qualifications, that being like very high engineering roles, just because I wanted to just put my name out there as best as possible. Yeah, so needless to say, that isn't really the smartest thing to do, kind of spamming your applications. Sure, if you want to maximize your chances, eventually you'll get a yes from all those applications you submitted. But I would start with maybe 10 a week and try and see where that goes before you up the numbers up. That way your metrics will be aligned. So in total, I went from not learning a single line of code to being hired as a full stack engineer in about 6 months. Now that is a very quick turnaround, especially in this day and age with the industry being very competitive. It's a very, very quick turnaround, and I don't expect anyone else to get there as fast as I did. This is just how I went about it, but this will help me segue into what I want to talk about next, is on some tips on how you can actually increase your chances of getting a job. So tip number 1 is very important, whether you're going through your traditional route, bootcamp route, or self-taught route, is projects. Projects are very, very, very big. They're very essential. You pretty much need to have projects on your resume to show these companies that, hey, I know how to code. I know what I'm doing, right? Now, these projects have to be pretty complex. They have to be pretty big, especially if you're coming from a bootcamp and self-taught route where there's no degree behind it kind of pushing you, selling you as a developer. Try and make complex projects. Like, I started off with very basic ones and then started slowly building on top of that and getting that project to be as good as possible. I started off with like a very basic project, very simple projects, and then the next one kept going up in complexity little by little until I had a very complex capstone project that I could present and be very confident about explaining to companies and recruiters. Okay, tip number 2 is kind of obvious, but you need to do well in your interviews. You need to do very, very, very well. The 2 very common ways that recruiters test upcoming engineers in new positions are from technical interviews or take-home assessments. I was very lucky, and the company that I'm working for right now gave me a take-home assessment, which was they gave me a guideline of a project to create, and I had to create it in the fastest amount of time and submit it to them. And they would then go over and review my code, and I would have to explain what I made for them. The other way is a technical interview. So an interviewer giving you a problem to solve with coding. These interviews can vary depending on what company you're applying to. I know for a fact, like, some FANG companies have 6 different rounds of interviews and you have to pass 6 different coding questions, which is insane, but that's where the top of the top to see how you can code. Or a company could give you an easier question just to see if you can solve it or not. This shows the interviewer that you know how to problem solve, and that's kind of the main reason behind these technical interviews, is seeing how your brain works and how you go about problem solving. I think it's very big if you understand your data structures and algorithms as someone, and it really gauges them on what you can do and your abilities as a problem solver to the interviewer. Now, there's two ways that you can go about practicing these is from a boot camp, which I did, which provides mock interviews from the instructions themselves, or working on, believe it or not, personal projects. Personal projects help with your problem solving skills from every function you create, every UI element that you change. You have that autonomy yourself. So it'll really help you understand your own thought process, and it'll strengthen your ability to practice leak code questions and answer interview questions effectively. Right, so the third tip that I'm gonna very much recommend is Leak Code. So Leak Code is a website where engineers can go and practice their problem solving and coding interview questions. Come on, it's Leak Code. We've all had that one stint where we look at a problem and it's an easy question which should be solved in 5 minutes or less, and we're stuck at it for 40, 50 minutes. That was me at one point. I promise you, it'll get better. I promise you. It's just a lot of studying. Leak Code will also test your data structures and algorithms, which is another thing that interviewers will look for and see how you go about solving those various problems inside your interview questions. So it's very big to practice your Leak Code and study it. I went about doing about a 1 hour every night or every other night, depending on what was on my agenda. But ideally, one problem a night to help solidify yourself and find those patterns in the questions is really helpful for growing yourself as an individual and as an engineer, and will definitely solidify your chances of getting that dream job that you want. So my last tip for this video is to find a mentor. So mentors can help anyone in any career field advance themselves beyond their own knowledge. I know for me personally, my mentor helped me understand ideologies of code that I would never have found out on my own, regardless if I was in a boot camp or not, just because of how advanced his knowledge was about software in general. And he really showed me how to clean up redundant code, different ways of writing code that makes it less cluttered, easier to maintain, more scalable, and a lot less complex time and space, which makes it more efficient. Finding a mentor can be really, really huge for anyone in any career field, especially in software engineering. With all the connections that they know themselves, you can definitely land a dream job just from having a mentor. So it's very important to find one. LinkedIn is very big for finding mentors and networking in general. So go on LinkedIn and make sure you connect with a lot of engineers around you or even away from you, and ask for a virtual coffee and chat a little bit about software, your own goals, and I'm sure they will be happy to respond and give their 2 cents. So all in all, it took me about 6 months to go from not knowing a single line of code to being a full stack software engineer. Now, I did have a very quick turnaround and I did get a job very quickly, but that's not to say that you can do the same. If I can do it, you definitely can do it, especially if I was filled with all this imposter syndrome and thinking to myself every night, I won't be able to do this, I don't know what I'm doing. You can do it. I know you can do it because I did it, and I know it was very difficult for me to do it. If you guys like this video, please leave a like below and subscribe. Also, leave a comment about what type of content you'd like to see on this channel. I read everyone's comments, so every little bit of feedback is appreciated. Thank you guys so much, and happy coding. See you guys later.